Hey guys, it's Andrew Upshaw. I'm here at Andrew Upshaw Fishing. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Really appreciate it. Today, we are on Sam Rayburn Reservoir. Sam Rayburn is one of those lakes that everybody's heard of. If you're a bass fisherman, you've either wanted to be here or you've been here. It's got big bass, and right now, those big bass are in shallow water. And not just any shallow water. They're up in the hay grass, and you know, the fish just got done spawning not too long ago, and they're up here eating shad. And to me, there's not a better bait to throw when they're eating shad than a popping perch. You know, I know this is just one of those colors, like it's white, and that is what works. So when they're eating those shad, you want something that imitates them. Today we have an overcast day, one of the very best days that you can be frogging this hay grass. So if you look out across here, you're gonna see bushes, little bitty individual targets that I like to hit that are really, really good. High percentage places, and I think that's one of the big keys here is fishing these high percentage places. So instead of just casting this mass grass bed that we have here, I'm gonna start picking off edges and corners. So like I'm gonna take this popping perch and I'm gonna throw it right up there next to that bush, right on that edge of that grass line. And I want to fish it in the most natural way that I can, but at the same time, I'm fishing it fairly quick. Because the cool thing about this time of year is you can start speeding up that bait significantly. And that's what makes this popping perch so unique, is the fact that when it was designed to fish really fast. So I'll show you the two different cadences that I like to do when I'm throwing a popping perch. The first one is more what I would consider my finesse approach to frog fishing, is walking it and fishing it fairly slow, keeping it close to the cover as I can. You know, and the cool thing about this popping perch, it is a popping style bait, but it still walks just fine. So like you can still walk the dog with this thing. You can keep it next to that cover and make that gurgling sound that those fish really can't resist. So that's my first method, is fishing it super duper slow. I mean, like walk it, just really try to keep it in that strike zone. That's the first method. Probably the one that I turn to more when the fish are on beds or highly pressured, sun's real high, and I know they're around a particular target. The other method though is truly fishing this thing fairly quickly. And when I mean that, like, I mean you're pop, and you're just moving it non-stop. You're moving it. Now, where the really cool thing comes in is when you do stop it, and that's typically when you get your bite. For me, at least, what I do is I throw it up there next to some targets, and I'm between three bushes right here. I'm pop, and I'm popping it along until I get to that one bush, and I'm just gonna hesitate it slightly. You're not dead stopping it. You're just hesitating that bait. And when that bait hesitates next to that bush, I feel like that bass is sitting back there saying, they're chasing it, and as soon as it hesitates, they're taking advantage of that fish, of that bait fish, and they're gonna eat it. And to me, that's when you really figure them out big time, especially on Sam Rayburn. Like, you look at guys that have dominated out here for years, like Todd Castledine, just to name one individual, but I mean, an absolute phenomenal frog fisherman. This is how he catches them out here, guys. Like I'm telling you, all you got to do is get up in that a little bit shallower water, and sometimes you just got to look around, look for clues. Today, what I did is I rode around looking for birds. I was riding banks, looking for bird, and I'd look around and I'd see an egret, or I'd see a heron, and I knew immediately that those shad were present. You've got to pay attention to these little bitty clues that are around you if you want to catch more bass. It's not always about what you see on your depth finder or what you perceive is going on. Sometimes you've got to pay attention to the outside factors of what's going on, whether it's a windy bank or you know, are birds present, or you know, are shad around? Are you paying attention to shad flickering on the surface? You've got to pay attention to all these factors when you're frog fishing. You know, another thing that we paid attention to today was clarity of water. You know, one particular stretch we were on earlier, the water was not that clear. It was actually fairly dirty. and the frog bites were kind of few and far between. There were good ones, but the deal was there wasn't a mass quantity of them. When we got into this little area, the water cleaned up a lot, and there was an absence of hydrilla. There was a lot more hay grass, pepper grass, and a mix of bushes, and that's exactly what we were looking for in this situation, was the absence of hydrilla. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, is to not look for the hydrilla, but that's what everybody looks for out here. And we wanted to do something that was based off of something completely different. One thing that I'd really like to touch on is conditions. And when I'm talking about conditions, what is the weather like outside? Is it sunny? Is it calm? Is it windy? You know, I talked about it briefly as far as like looking for birds and things, but is it sunny? You know, it seems like the sunnier it is, the more the fish draw to the cover. So what that means is you're looking for like true edges, holes, you know, places like the thickest cover that those fish can sit in. It seems like the cloudier it is, the fish seem to roam around a lot more. So you're much more inclined to catch them on random stuff. Like today, for instance, caught quite a few fish just rolling around some of these bushes, you know. And what the deal is on a very sunny, calm day, those fish on these isolated bushes would not be here. Those fish would be, you know, they're gonna pull up in that grass. So the more you kind of just roam around on some of this stuff on these more overcast, cloudy days, the better the chance you have to catching, you know, more and more fish. And that's what we're doing today. Is I'm really focused on conditions, and I'm putting my popping perch where I'm going to maximize my bite with the current conditions. And right now, current conditions, it's kind of overcast, partly sunny, I would say. The wind is really low, but they are on these more isolated targets than up inside the mat. If this was a very sunny day, one of those days where, you know, you're so hot, 100-degree days, like those fish are going to be far back up in that stuff as they can get, or in the thickest cover that they can find. Today, not so much. You're not going to catch those fish in super thick cover like you typically would. Today is more of a day where you're going to catch them in the scattered stuff, the scattered grass, the scattered hay grass, Kissimmee grass. You know, we call it hay grass here in Texas. If you go out in Florida, this same exact type of grass is what they call Kissimmee grass. And that's what a lot of fish are caught out of. And we kind of bring the similarities together there because they're so unique. The grass is so unique. But I really like, one of the big keys that I look for when I'm on the water is trying to find where grasses mix. And what I mean by that is I really like finding where that hay grass mixes with pepper grass, or where hay grass mixes with hydrilla, or pepper grass mixes with hydrilla. It seems like anytime you can find that little bitty edge, your bite ratio goes up significantly. You're gonna find a lot more fish, you're gonna catch a lot more fish. And that's one of the big key components when you're throwing a popping perch, is paying attention to what's up in the sky, and that's gonna determine where those fish are in the water. Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is pretty main lake.
Yeah, but like for Jackson Hill, it's not.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true.
Like maybe there's just a bunch of, like maybe.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's a giant.
Dude, just ate that popping perch.
Oh my gosh. Dang. Look at that. We kind of figured it out today, guys. So we, you know, I was telling you earlier, like paying attention to like what's around you. We started paying attention to what cover we were fishing. But I think it was more than the cover, you know, like we're looking for isolated little targets, little bushes, pieces of grass. I can't even get this fish out so far back up in there. But the big key today was slowing down. So, you know, I talked about the 2 techniques that you're supposed to use with a frog, really fast or really slow. Figured out, slowed that frog way down, and that's what it turned into. Crazy. That was an amazing bite. Amazing. Holy crap. That was awesome. Whew. Might get this big baby back. Look at that thing. Whew. Oh man, that is crazy. Oh man, she got some on her. What is that? Oh, it's moss. All right, let's get her back. So I've talked about the bait. I've talked about some of the things that I really like. But in my opinion, gear is, if not the most important, one of the most important aspects of fishing this popping perch. And this is a rod and reel combo that you've seen me use a lot. This is the Jig Worm 7.2 heavy action Mark Rose rod with a custom Lite reel, 50-pound Strike King Tour Grade braided line. And you know, I've been using this Strike King Tour Grade braid for quite some time now. It's really, really strong braid. I've actually had this particular line on my reel for quite a few days, or quite a few months now. You'd be surprised how long it lasts and how well it keeps its color day after day of fishing. And I've been fishing a lot lately. I mean, when you start talking about this quarantine stuff and you know, what do you do during quarantine? I just wanted to go learn how to fish a little bit better. You know, I feel like you can always refine your craft, and that's exactly what I did during my break, was to get better at what I like to do, and that's catch fish. But in the terms of popping perch, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can change your colors up. You know, I try to keep it pretty basic on my color selection. I like to throw about 4 or 5 colors. My favorite one is white. You just can't beat white, especially when the shad's spawning. But another color I really like to throw, see, they're up there chasing shad right now. Another color I like to throw is black. Solid black works really, really well. Another color that I like is a green pumpkin with the little orange flares on it. I mean, they're chasing shad everywhere right here. This is crazy. They're chasing so fast that they can't even keep my bait up with them. I mean, you can tell this is exactly what they're eating. They're up here eating shad, and I'm matching the hatch perfectly with this popping perch. Oh, there's one. Oh, that's a big one. Oh, God, it's a big one. Come on, baby. She's still on there. See how strong that 50-pound braid is right there? Oh, come on, baby. Oh, yeah, she's still there. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. And see, you want to say that those fish didn't want that popping perch? Look at that right there. That's all I got to tell you about the popping perch. You get that popping perch out, you start fishing that shad spawn, and you're going to be surprised how phenomenal the fishing really is. Thank you for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner. Hey, and if you get a chance, share it with your friends. The more people that watch this, the better off we're going to be and the more videos I can make. Once again, guys, thank you for watching another episode of Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Let's get this baby unhooked. Get her in the water.